Good morning, everyone, friends. Well, the blood will never lose its power, and singing like that will never lose its power. It's an honor and privilege today to speak to you about stewardship. I'm Dean Presson, if you don't know me, and a representative of the Serve Council. So I want to say something about how stewardship and the Serve Council come together. According to its charter, the Serve Council acts as an arm of the session to deepen mutually enriching relationships with ministry partners and justly disperse funds shared by church members and designated by session, practicing biblical principles of solidarity, justice, and stewardship. In the Serve Council, we seek to carry out the ministry of this church. So let's stop and let that sink in for a second. The ministry of Grace Covenant Presbyterian Church, our ministry. Our Serve Council charter says that we seek opportunities to partner in our local and global communities to effectively do God's work. And we have chosen partners who work directly with impacted people in communities pushed to the margins, so that we may also create mutual and authentic relationships. Our covenant partners are 14 organizations that have a mission to support communities historically pushed to the margins. I wonder what and who are communities pushed to the margins. In part, are they people who are struggling to make ends meet because of systems built to create disadvantage? In part, are they people who are isolated and alienated from the very society in which they live because of systems of oppression? And in part, are they the people with a collective history in America of denied opportunity and dignity by white supremacy, violent and dominance-based mentality imposed by a ruling class? Yes. We partner with communities with this experience, with this history, and with this impact to this very present day. Our covenant partners are led by black and brown-bodied persons, again, whose mission supports communities historically pushed to margins. And for example, I want to briefly mention 5 of our 14 covenant partners. Western North Carolina's Workers Center are in direct relationship with immigrant workers in hotel, restaurant, and general industries to promote justice through education, organizing, direct action, and a rapid response fund for immigrant workers. Residents Council of Asheville Housing Authority is a council for public housing residents, collaborating with Southside Kitchen to provide 300 to 500 meals a week for seniors and public housing residents with disabilities. Center for Participatory Change, CPC, provides space for learning, healing, and relationship building, teaching, and fostering resilience and mental well-being with a vision for a collective liberation. Bountiful Cities has been supporting low-income communities in growing food for the last 22 years. And we know something about how fruitful a community garden can be. YTL. YTL works with children and their families to overcome current disparities in education, to help them thrive. This leads why I want to speak to you about our ministry at Grace Covenant. I want to close with this story of how our partner, YTL, how its impact has rippled across the community positively, and it has affected Susan and me personally by its caring of children who we know. And for confidentiality reasons, I can't tell you much. But it started about 6 years ago, across the street from us. Susan fell in love with two children who are relatives of our neighbor. Their ages you could individually count on one hand. And they came over to our house a lot back then and for the next few years. And I remember Susan helping them learn numbers and colors. And well, that relationship grew, and Susan became their unofficial godmother. She's Miss Susan, and I'm Mr. Dean. This family experienced a lot of challenges and stress in those early days. And the COVID pandemic came, bringing even greater challenges for this family. Susan and I were so concerned for them and the children as the pandemic and lockdown was creating a lot of a state of isolation and despair, and particularly for these children. We feared for them. Then YTL admitted them, and that made all the difference in the world. It's not too much to say that their YTL experience saved these kids. I repeat, it saved these kids. Can someone say hallelujah? I was close enough to see it, and I see it now. The whole family, and they are happy. And the siblings are succeeding in school. And I know this because by the miracle of the way things are, they are literally my neighbor. And we speak kindly to each other all the time. And YTL is still an important part of their lives. And this is just one family impacted by our partner, YTL. There are many, many more families helped by these partnerships and our ministry. There are even opportunities to volunteer with them and to build authentic and genuine relationships. The Service Council's purpose is to carry out the mission of our church, not the church, Grace Covenant Presbyterian's ministry, to effectively do God's work in this world. And that's worth supporting. There are pledge cards in the pew today and a QR code on the screen to the online pledge card for all of you worshiping at home. You can also pledge online by going to our website, gcpcusa.org, and clicking on Ways to Give. And you can also reach out to Natalie Weaver, our stewardship and financial advisors, and she can take your pledge directly. And thank you for your faithful support of GCPC's bright and courageous future. And now, let us present our tithes and offerings. We'll be passing the offering plates here in the sanctuary. You can email a check to the church office. You can text Give GCPC to 73256, or visit gcpcusa.org to find other ways to give. Let us joyfully receive our offering.